So if you're open to sharing, yeah. So what happens when we get a little stressed out and burned out? We make mistakes.
Yeah. And also, especially for us who are, living with dementia, and we're also, running more than attending more meetings. And
it's hard to set limits because you want to be helpful, and it's hard to set limits because you want to have value and purpose, and it's hard to set limits because people ask. And you keep wanting to do until your bucket's empty, and then you realize, oh crap, my bucket's empty.
Yeah. And I think today realizing, having to ask for some extra help which as we talked about this morning, and then actually you sit down with that person and you sort of tell them everything for the first time, really, just, what the last, everything that we've gone through recently with, not meeting in person, it was like our first anniversary of my dog is going to bark right now. So, first anniversary of our in-person meeting. Yeah. That we start at. That was our, and that was a big deal because
it's an anniversry, and
it was the first year. And, we had to meet by Zoom, and I'm just so proud of everybody because, we did it. And, but, so just having that, and then, trying to get everybody on board with, everything, and everything else. And it's just, I think maybe
you don't realize how much you're doing until you tell somebody how much you've done. And then it suddenly becomes clear, oh, well, no wonder I'm overwhelmed a bit. This has been a lot. And a lot of it's new and different.
And it applies to everybody. It's not just me, and that's what I want, for anybody, not just living with dementia, anybody who is doing this and, having to do so much on Zoom. I think we need to address, maybe we don't actually realize how much that takes out of us. And I was going to ask you, that was going to be my ask for you.
Great question and great comment.
And especially, talking with people with cognitive impairments, how difficult that is on top. So.
Right. So you're having to do with technology, and you're only seeing a part of another human being, and you don't get a lot of touch contact. You're getting a lot of eye contact, and eye contact in Zoom can be pretty intense if the person on the other side of the contact doesn't recognize and appreciate. In real interactions, we don't stare at each other. And yet in Zoom, the way the system is designed, we're all looking at each other, and we don't tend to look away very often. And so one of the structures and habits I encourage people to do is make eye contact and then look up or look away in thought to give the other person a chance to breathe.
Yeah. And these techniques are techniques that, we might have let slide because we're only maybe doing 3 or 4 support groups a week, and then suddenly we're attending 2 or 3 a day. So you realize that these boundaries are not in place in these meetings. So
exactly. And
so it applies to everybody, really.
It does. And so I'm not sure that's just for people living with dementia. I think a lot of people are experiencing, there's the life in the Zoom. And then if you look out, wow, life is still going on in the room or in the house or in the world. And there's layer after layer after layer. And it's easy to get consumed by this one world and forget that there are other worlds out there for a large portion of time.
And that's what I had to do, because I had been, ever since my diagnosis in 2016, Dementia Alliance International were the only people that had support groups online, so I immersed myself in for 3 years. And with taking on, other roles, such as board of directors and other stuff. and on committees and this committee, I'd realized, that that's what I was doing, and, attending conferences and everything. And you're just in that world. So that's why I took some time off and focused on my local group, setting up an in-person. So
it's sort of getting some local support and offering some local support. So Maria is someone who's been living with dementia for a while, and I'm just going to paraphrase because we've been talking for a bit, and we're open to other questions as well. But Maria's comment and what we've been talking about is this reality of living virtually. We still have life to live in real time, and sometimes in our efforts to be present in virtual time, we can be ignoring some things that should be going on for us in real time. So right before this, I've been pretty occupied all day with virtual stuff or working on the computer or having things to do. I made myself go outside and go for a run. And it was just, and ran the steps and did all that. And it's because I need to remind myself that, oh, look, you've got legs. Perhaps you should use those a little bit. You've been using those two things up top, the eyeballs a whole lot, and the ears some, and the mouth has been running. Or you've been working with your fingers, but what have you been doing for the rest of you? And I think when you're sheltering, quote unquote, the word shelter in and of itself sort of gets us in this mode of thinking smaller world, smaller world, smaller world. And it can truly make our brains go a little squirrely because humans are really meant to go from one space and place to another and then come back. But we're meant to have a larger environment as a rule, except when we were babies and then they swaddled us and put us in cribs. And then from then on, we've been trying to do more and move around. And I think when dementia happens for people, often the first step for many people, and I've worked and talked with many people who their first thought is, "Ooh, I need to go shelter and hide for a little bit to recover from that news." And sometimes it's hard to come back out after that. And some people burst out, and some people sneak out, and some people are still hiding. So we're about making sure people have the opportunity to come and be with people at their pleasure. It's an invitation, not a demand.
Okay.
Yeah, and we give people, a reason to come on out and be present. So Carrie is here. She's running the show, and we have Rachel, who has some questions that have come in before, but we also have some folks in the room here. We got a group here. Many are who names on the screen, they don't want to be seen yet, or they're busy doing something that shouldn't be seen. Could be either because they're in their world and they're virtually present, but they may have given themselves a break and they're just listening in. But Carrie, I'm going to turn it over to you to see who else and what else is going on tonight, because this is that Ask Teepa Anything, which is always a bit nerve-wracking because I never know what you're going to come up with.
Actually, I just got a question from Diane Hoy, who I believe is in the room. Diane, do you know how to unmute? Can you ask us your questions about your mom?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go,
yes.
Diane. See you. Yes.
Perfect. My mom is in an assisted living. She's been there since last July. She is diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. And we have been caring for her for a couple of years. So this wasn't anything new. And it's been actually a good thing for her to be at the assisted living. And I'm thankful for the structure that we were able to establish before the COVID-19.
Yeah.
And I've watched a lot of your things, and I've learned how to help be positive and acknowledge her feelings, even if they're not real and that kind of thing. But now that I only
now
can talk
Diane
on the phone, it's getting harder, and I don't know how to be. She wants to report the people who are taking everything.
Okay, so
and something has to be done.
Well, it sounds like, okay, so you used to be present a lot more than you are, weren't you? You were there.
Correct. I was there at least 4 times a week. I was
yeah,
the person who was there.
Yeah, so her advocate is missing.
Right.
Yeah. So she's feeling fairly vulnerable because the person that would stand up for her and make sure that people behave like they should was coming in pretty regularly. And now you're not physically present.
Right. And my title was the finder of all things. I mean, my mom's room is really just a bedroom. So I could figure out her hiding places, or I could just find, you know, I'd be like, well, let's look, Mom, and all this kind of stuff. But now things are just gone, and it's really, it's hard to keep her not being as angry. And I mean, I get it, but I don't know how to talk to her on the phone. I get very frustrated.
Yeah. So let's try something. Can you be your mom?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. So you call me, or do I call you? Which way does it work? Do you call her and say, hi, Mom? Or does she call you?
It's both. I was able to get a nice phone where she just has to push my face. So she is able to just call me.
Okay. Well, then you call me.
Okay. So I'll call you. And then you answer.
Hey, Mom. It's Diane.
Diane. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do something. I just have to tell you this is really bad news, and something has to be done.
Okay. So something's got to get done. Something's not good. So something happened and it's not good,
and
right? Yeah.
Correct. So there's that woman who she refers to with a letter B.
Okay,
so into her
there's a woman that's a witch with a B. Mm-hmm.
Try to relax a little bit. You want me to go?
Right. She comes in
and you don't trust her. Hey, Mom, you don't trust her, do you?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So
no, I don't.
And you don't trust her, and you don't like her coming in.
No, and then she takes everything. She takes.
So things go missing after she's in there.
My pens.
Wow. So your pens have gone missing, and she comes in and things go missing. Well, that's not okay, Mom.
Right.
You're absolutely right. That is not okay. I'm gonna hang on. I need to write down the kind.
So you're going to report it?
I want you to help me fill out the report. Yes, because that shouldn't be going on. And I need to get to the bottom of that, because you know me, I like to find things, and I am not going to let something like this happen and not stand up for you, Mom.
Okay. So not being my mother, what I get scared of is telling her I do say that the administrator, Connie, I'll say, Mom, Connie takes everything seriously. She believes you. And they will even come look or whatever. They're very good to residents, but
she needs you.
I guess I'm more worried about her being a problem.
Diane. Okay, so, she needs you to be the advocate like you were. You're not finding things for her. You're not present. She needs you to be present.
Right.
She needs you to be the go-between. You look at my fingers. What shape am I making with my fingers?
A triangle.
A triangle. Your mom feels vulnerable. She doesn't want to fight with them, but she's anxious about them. And before, you were always part of that, and you would take the heat, and you would find things and you would put them back. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have you. And now when things get gone, she doesn't know what to do about it other than call you. And if you won't stand up for her, she'd have to go talk to Connie. And that doesn't make her happy.
I did say one time I would and I did say, well, I would email Connie. And I kind of did that a little, not quite what you explained. And the next day she kind of forgot about it. So, is that, so is it, am I supposed to follow through?
Yes.
Sending
no, you don't have,
the administrator?
Well, no, what you want to do is say to the administrator, try saying to the administrator, Mom is looking for pens in her room, and I think she's probably put them someplace safe. Usually when I'm there, I find them under the mattress. But could you, Connie?
Yeah.
It would have to be you, Connie, because I'm not sure she actually trusts the care person. You know how she can really be nervous about them.
Right.
Would you go in and say that I sent you down to fix this?
Okay. Okay. And then, so like with her Lewy body dementia, she does have, you know, hallucination. I mean, she does see things that aren't there. Yep. Am I supposed to, I can go with that for a while, but am I supposed to just ignore? I mean, like,
the first question is, are they scary or are they just filling the empty space?
They aren't, no, they're part of the things being taken from, whether it's hers or sometimes it can be even strange. Like the other morning, she said there were boxes that were taken that are to build a house. Wow. Some man took these boxes.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of how I responded. I was like, wow, I didn't know you had such boxes. Or,
well, yeah.
But so they're not scary, like in harming her.
Well,
you know, they don't hurt her.
No. Well, Diane, what I hear a lot of is she's feeling a sense of loss. Things are disappearing on her. You disappeared on her. Time is disappearing on her. Mm-hmm. Nothing, everything is gone. And she's right. There's not a lot going on. The building is, I mean, she doesn't do the things she did. She's feeling lost in her room, in her little space, because they're not doing activities like they did. They're not having interactions like they did. They're not doing music like they did. Everything is different. And that's really what, with the Lewy body, that's what she's describing. It's garbled in her brain because the brain can't keep it straight, but it's actually a pretty straightforward story. I'm feeling at a loss. Nothing is right.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even go out in the main part of the house. They've stolen the house. I mean, essentially, she's right. The rest of the building isn't open to her anymore.
So they do get to do a few things, but I don't want to get off on that point because I want to focus on you saying that I need to make sure, like, I'll say, okay, I'm writing this down, Mom, and I will email Connie. And whether I need to have Connie or some of the other staff that I have good relationship with, or it might be one of those times where I don't have to email it and the next day she doesn't even remember it. If it comes
back up a couple times,
we're not even talking about it.
Yeah, if it comes back up, it's something that she needs a little more closure on. If it doesn't come back up, and then think about, hey, Mom, could you do me a favor? Now, what does that make you want to say right now? If I say, hey, Mom, could you do me a favor? Have you got a minute?
It'd be like, sure, what? Yeah. What do you need me to do?
I'm trying to think, okay, here's what I'm trying to make a list of flowers, different kinds of flowers. And I thought of daffodils, but then I couldn't think of any other spring flowers. What's another spring flower?
Oh, that'd be, so my sister and my sister-in-law, when it's the three of us, when we talk to her, and we do struggle at times of like trying to talk about things, not like really what we're doing, because we're afraid that, you know, we're not going out either, but we're afraid that will make her more sad. So flowers would be good, and that kind of thing. So I like that. Thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah, so we want to take her in a good direction, not just let her roam about in the lost world, but give her things to talk about, things to think about, but they have to be a lot smaller. A lot smaller.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And she can't, with that vision, I know how you've talked about the vision. I mean, I know it's getting worse because when I've been at her window, and she's looking for her TV remote. And I'll be like, it's in your dresser. Like, I might be able to see it right there. And I'm describing it. She can't see it.
Yeah.
So,
and so that would be a time.
That's frustrating.
Yeah. That, Diane, is a possibility where you get up with staff and say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go in with my mom and ask if she wants to watch this channel or that channel, and get them to be a little more helpful at getting that done so she can enjoy one or the other. You look at the channels before you call, so you figure out which one is a better channel for your mom.
Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you.
And then staff are actually being helpful rather than stealing stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. Good question.
So someone asked just another question kind of along the line about stealing. When apologies don't work and offering to help look for the items only angers her more. Denise Butler just sent this question, and she's in the room too. So
Denise, have you got a little more, like, can you give me sort of a little more story behind that? You're still muted. There you go.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So we see, this is a patient that we see in the memory care clinic. We've seen them a couple of different times.
Okay.
The two daughters are the care partners. She lives with one of the daughters. The daughter she lives with is, of course, the one she's accusing of stealing, because she's the one that's closest to her. So when we were trying to talk about this, this is becoming more and more of a problem for them, that I know you took it, and I know you did something with it. You are not supposed to touch my things. So then I talked to them about, have you said, well, Mom, I'm really sorry. Let me help you look for it. You will find it, because you will find it.
Pause.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So here's the first thing. There wasn't a validation by the person. There was simply an apology for the behavior. And so I've been taking things, they belong to you, and I really am not remembering doing that, but if I did that, that was wrong. I had no business. I should not have done that, Mom. You're absolutely right. That's not okay.
And I did ask them to say, acknowledge it. I think they're really reluctant to say that when they're in the wrong. They haven't gotten to that place yet where they need to, just going with it. It doesn't matter if it, so I think they're going to get
stuck.
They're a little bit stuck.
Yeah.
And I felt stuck because I didn't know how to get them off that point and get them into here, try this, because they're basically, there's a little bit of that. We've tried it, it's not working.
Right. So it sounds like you're really frustrated with your mom. And I would say that. So can you be that daughter for a second? It sounds like you're really frustrated with your mom.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Here's what I suspect. I think your mom's really frustrated with you.
Okay. Very good.
Is that fair?
That is fair.
So if you both keep doing what you're doing now, will you expect there to be a change?
Obviously, no.
I wouldn't. Yeah, me either. So I can't fix your mom. Are you willing to try a change?
I would love to be able to have some peace in the house.
You would. So here's the thing. If I said to you, your dress is green, and I hate green dresses, what's your first instinct?
Well,
look down at your shirt. What's your first instinct?
Well, it's blue, but okay.
So it's blue, but. So you were having a hard time because what I said in your mind is simply not true. And yet, if my eyes saw it as green and I couldn't fix my eyes to see it as blue, are we going to be able to go anywhere else?
No.
So if you said, oh, so you don't like the color of my shirt.
Okay, no.
Try saying that. Try saying that.
Okay, so you don't like I'm sorry, you don't like the color of my shirt?
Don't say I'm sorry, just say, so you don't like the color of my shirt.
So you don't like the color of my shirt?
No, it looks like crap on you.
Oh gosh, well, hadn't thought about that, but thank you. That's a really good tip.
Okay, now not quite that nice that fast, because I want to be angry for a while and you're not comfortable with my anger. Okay. I'm angry that I'm losing things. I'm angry that I think you're taking control of my life. So here's a heads up. The daughter, the one that's there a lot, is trying hard to take control of mom's life so it runs better.
Okay.
Mom does not like being controlled by this lovely woman who's her daughter. You are my daughter, not the boss of me. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to get her daughter to appreciate you are not the boss of me. And the daughter is simply using the facts and nothing but the facts to react rather than acknowledge mom doesn't like being bossed around. And she's giving you that message. And what I'd say is she's trying to be helpful, but she's just irritating mom because mom doesn't believe that she gets it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this particular patient is a little feisty.
Yep. Yeah. And so she needs to burn off that frustration, and that's making the daughter uncomfortable. Mom has a right to be angry about losing her brain. It's not comfortable to lose your brain. I've been the boss of things for a long time. And if you think it's okay that I'm losing my mind, and then you want to say, absolutely not. I hate that that's happening and it shouldn't be happening. And I hate it for you and I hate it for me. But I will say, Denise, my best guess is the daughter is not comfortable getting that distressed alongside her mom because she's afraid it's viewed as being angry with her mom. She's being angry alongside her mom. And she doesn't do that, and mom feels unlistened to, even though the daughter says, I'm listening.
Okay, I think that's a great analysis. Thank you. That's
and so
helpful.
If you can help her be okay, practice with you getting angry alongside her mom. It ticks you off when things are not there and you think that I took it. And honest, mom, I don't think I did. But if I did, that was wrong. I had no business doing that. And that's going to help her mom let go of it because it's the same energy her mom is trying to get her to recognize. But it's going to take rehearsal.
Yeah. I was just feeling like I wasn't getting through and being able to carry it far enough with them.
Yeah.
Because it's that skill that you bring in with us a lot, is that it's really hard and you have to practice meeting someone just underneath where they are and validate, and then it can eventually sort of drop down.
People want it to happen. They want the person to not be angry. And it's like, well, they're already angry. So let's acknowledge how angry they are about it and we have to give it to them both intensity and frequency because that's where they are. But we want to make sure we turn our body. That isn't a really important feature. I never want to face you in those situations. I want us to be angry about the stuff that's missing. And I want us to be angry about that you thought I took that stuff. So it's you thought I took that stuff. I don't remember taking the stuff, but I get that you're angry with me.
Because I do talk to Catherine, thank you. And I do talk to them about meeting them where they are, but I'm not sure how much that gets translated. I think I need to do a better job about translating.
Cool.
It's not just, understanding where they are in their dementia, but also where they are emotionally.
Yeah.
So thank you. That was really, that's very helpful to me.
Yeah. She's feeling a little belittled. Yeah.
And Teepa brought up a really important point in my own experience, is you actually practicing that, like Teepa just is having you do, is or having us do, the practice of that, the role playing is so uncomfortable, but it can also be so just like, it's like rip the Band-Aid off. It's a really important piece of the role play practice.
sometimes it's easier to do this. And when you have the sisters in together.
Yep.
And then you also have that dynamic of, well, if you would just, and I have to do this a lot, you know. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. The pointing the fingers and you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's easy to do. It's hard to remember. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm talking the sisters are doing it to each other, and I'm doing
sisters.
this.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this.
Okay, ladies, switch places. Yeah, and so sometimes I'll say trade places.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Trade places is a powerful tool. Trade places. So you're the sister who's trying the best you have, and I'm going to give you advice.
Yeah, because the one who doesn't live there, of course, is not the one who gets all of this thrown at her. She does occasionally,
but not
often. Because she's managing the finances.
Yeah, but at a distance. Yeah,
but at a distance, she's not there the 24/7.
Yeah, and so that relationship is different. It's all true. Yeah,
exactly. And that's the other thing we try that when I'm with them, I try to emphasize, you may be sisters, you may have the same, but you have different relationships.
Then you have different jobs.
Yeah, and you have different jobs in this relationship too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
All right, Carrie and Rachel.
We've got a question. I'll let Rachel ask the question. Matthew's feeding us from the YouTube. Our YouTube viewers. Go ahead, Rachel.
So Teepa, I hope I got this right. But as I understand it, there's a mom who has mixed dementia in the facility, and she's calling her daughter and gets really upset with her for leaving her. The daughter is feeling really bad, and she's trying to figure out what to do. She did say that when she tells her mom that she didn't come and visit, that her mom can be okay with that, but she's wondering if she can stop it getting to that point of high distress and kind of do something to, I think, avoid that.
Okay, so a couple of things. So mom values the relationship with the daughter. And when you value a relationship and you don't get to have it at the frequency you want it, the part of your brain that keeps up with when was the last time, how long has it been since, is the hippocampal area. And it's a learning and memory, and it's a wayfinding, and it's keeping up with how much time. So what mom is reporting is it's a minute seems like an hour seems like a day seems like a week seems like a month, and a month feels like a year. So if you haven't talked to me and I haven't had an interaction with you in a day, now her mom with this COVID thing thinks it's been like a month since she's been there. And so it feels not like you haven't visited, it feels like you abandoned me in this place that's not of my choosing, with people I'm not comfortable with, and you haven't come back. And I fear that you don't like me, love me, or want to be with me anymore because of this time warp. And it truly is a time warp. Now, on the other hand, taking a shower or changing clothes can feel like I just did that. I don't need to do that yet. And so that's where time compresses or time expands when you have a damaged brain. And so things that I should do more regularly, I just did that, but it actually hasn't just happened. It's happened quite a while ago, including doing taxes every year. So what we may want to look at is increased frequency of contact, but short duration of contact. So shorter little snippets of connection, but with greater frequency and higher energy. So just as with Denise, that energy had to match the other person's. Here's what it might sound like. So Rachel, you be the person and I'll call you.
Okay.
Okay. Ring-a-ling-ling. Hey, Mom.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, sweet Mom, my favorite lady.
Oh, Teepa, yeah.
Wow, it is so good to talk to you.
Oh, it's good. I've been wanting to.
Feels like forever since I've seen you.
Forever, just forever. You left, and I couldn't find you.
Yeah. Hey, Mom.
Ben.
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
can you give yourself a hug for me?
Well,
can you give yourself a little hug? Oh, Mom, I love you. I love you. Oh, hey, Mom.
I love you too, honey. I love you a lot.
I love you a lot. Hey, Mom, could you do me a favor?
Well, what?
I need some help.
My help?
Yeah. I called you because I could use your help. Here's what I was going to do. Listen, I have a couple of songs and I can't remember all the words. And I'm thinking you might be able to help me out.
Oh.
Okay. This one is one that used to sing when we were kids. Okay. And here's the tune. Da 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 da. Does that one sound familiar?
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, and it's don't sit under what is it?
Apple tree.
Apple tree. That was it. I couldn't remember what kind of tree. Don't sit under the apple tree with
anyone else
but me. Yeah. Anyone else? Oh, hey, good. Okay, so now we do one song about sitting with me. And then I'll say, there's one about an ant in a plant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. What's that one? Do you remember that one? Once there was a silly old ant. Thought he'd move a rubber tree plant. Everyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but he had high hopes. So what have I segued, and rather than starting a conversation with words, I started a conversation with energy, a hug, I love you, ooh, I could use your help, songs. All of which tend to be things of strength for somebody living with dementia. And rather than starting down that road of where have you been, you abandoned me, what have I demonstrated in this little phone call? Ooh, I'm talking about the times we're together when I was a little kid and you taught me music, and here are some favorite songs, and I pick the songs and I write them down on the piece of paper before I make the phone call. So I know I don't go to songs that are sad songs or songs. I'm going to pick ones that have some higher energy. And hey, Mom, somebody's calling me. I got to go, but I'll call you back as soon as I can.
Okay, well, don't take very long.
Don't take very long. I hear you. And so I want to make sure these phone calls are short and positive, but with greater frequency. Because time is being weird for the person. And that idea of being abandoned, and what you want to, if they say, well, when are you coming in? I will be there as soon as they let me come. Till then, I'll be here on the phone. And I love you, Mom. So what it means is before I go in the game, I put on my game face and I get my game energy. And I look in the mirror at myself and say, would I want to spend time with me? And I do a lot of work for the visit because this is my visit. And so I lift myself up so that when I'm with her, we have some positive time together. So if I can front end that and get it to be an up energy, then I will. If she's really giving me down energy, I have to go where she's at. But my goal is to see if I can transition this within the first few seconds of the call into a positive cycle rather than the abandonment cycle by showing her, oh, good, the lady I've been looking for.
Thank you, Teepa. This is really helpful because I know in my own family's experience right now of having a loved one living in assisted living in complete isolation with an occasional peek through the window, but mostly trying to do FaceTime if possible, if somebody's available, phone calls. I've noticed there's an assumption of energy that's like, ugh, even before they get on the phone and make the call, they say, ugh, this is, they already go into it with a negative energy of how bad this is and it doesn't work. So I'm hearing you saying sort of preparing yourself a little bit might be a really good thing to try.
Yeah, and you don't want to eat too much sugar because it gives you a false rush. I mean, what you want to do is really get yourself to a good place, though, before you make that call, because you'll convey a lot of your own baggage that you're carrying around about being in isolation, not being able to come. The guilt is, I mean, everybody take your little, if you're sitting on this call, take your guilt and take it off your back, get it off your back and get rid of it. Guilt has no positive outcome. Guilt is what you feel when I coulda, woulda, shoulda. And it's like, let it go, because what you have in front of you is an opportunity. And you'll have less of an opportunity if you get weighed down by guilt. Guilt is just, if I coulda, I woulda, I didn't, I'm sorry, let's move on. Let's get out of that sense of I wish I could have and say, well, what am I going to do this time? Because I have a new opportunity right here. What am I going to make? What use will I make of this opportunity? Because this is what I got. I can't go back and fix it. So let's work with what we got. Yeah.
And that being prepared part, I think, is really resonating with me, that I can translate to my family. It's like, let's be prepared, like know who she is, who she was, but who she is now and where she is and what gives her that balance. And can we bring that to a telephone conversation to a Diamond Emerald, which she's able to have that? How can we be prepared for those calls as a family instead of just, hi, I'm just checking in. Sorry, I can't be there.
When are you coming? I mean, and then we can start with, well, when are you coming? You know, and oh, here we go. When are we coming? Who opened that door? And then oh no, what do I say?
Yeah, I noticed you saying, hey, Mom, can you help me with something? It's springtime. I know you can see out your window. We're getting ready to plant our garden. Can you help me figure out?
Here's what I'm going to say. You're on track, but hey, Mom, could you do me a favor? Are you in a chair or in the bed? Go ahead and answer me.
I'm in my chair. I'm always in the damn chair.
You are in your chair. Now, from your chair, look around. Can you see out the window from there?
Yes, I can.
Okay, well, here's what I want you to do. Get up out of that chair and go over to the window.
Hold on, I gotta get my walker.
All right, get your walker. Good plan. Good plan. Go on over. Let me know when you're there.
All right.
Okay, you at the window?
I'm at the window, darling.
Okay, so tell me 3 things you can see. 3 things you can see. Do you see any people? Do you see any signs? Do you see any stuff? What do you see?
I see grass.
Okay, you see some grass.
I can see that cherry tree in bloom, which is gorgeous.
Oh, it's blooming.
Yes, it is.
Oh, like one of them or several?
Well, outside my window is just the one, but I know there's others because I've been walking around here. And the other thing is I see the damn bird feeder that you put in right outside my window, which is now empty.
Oh my gosh, the bird feeder's empty.
Yes,
so no birds, huh?
Nope.
Ooh, well, that's got to get fixed. Well, that's not okay. So do you think sunflower seeds or should I do thistle? What do you think?
Well, no, I like, no, you should know this.
I know I should.
You should know this, that it's the sunflower seeds that I like bring more birds.
The cardinals? Do they bring the
cardinals like and the finches and all the other ones? And now since you have not, since you last came by, there's been none. And I don't give a crap about the mess those seeds make.
Yeah, I hear you.
You don't have to go buy those ones. Just give me some damn sunflower seeds.
I am in the doghouse.
Well, now if you come visit, like sometimes I've seen you out the window and normally I don't like that, but this time if you would bring me the damn sunflower seeds.
You got it, Mom. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to call you. I'm getting the bird seed. I'm going to call you when I get there and I want you to come to the window and watch me do this.
You better.
All right. So I'm getting a bag. I'm going to be at it. I'll call you back.
Okay, Mom, that sounds good. I love you too. And I don't like seeing you through the window, but if you're filling up that bird stuff, then that'll help.
I need to, do you think I should clean it? Hey, Mom, should I clean it first? Should I bring some cleaner? Okay, all right. Well, I don't want to disappoint you.
No, you don't disappoint me as long as you just keep calling and show up.
Mom, you know I love you.
You know I love you, and we got to keep those cardinals fed in this time.
Rockin' Robin, Mama. Rockin'
Robin.
Robin.
Rockin' Robin. Rockin' Robin.
I love you, Mom.
I love you.
Hang up now before it goes bad. All right, what else we got cooking?
Okay, we had a question from Carolyn Creech. I think Judy Creech is logged in here today.
Okay, I see Judy's name. I don't see Carolyn Creech or McKinn. I don't know. There's a got a couple folks.
Carolyn Creech McGinn.
Okay. Creech is okay. So you are kin, as we say.
Yes.
All right.
My mother lives with Judy and my brother.
Okay, so your mom lives with Judy and her husband. No? Yes. Okay, got it right. Okay, got the relationships. I'm great with names. All right, so tell me more of what's up.
Okay, I think I sent in a couple of questions, but the most pressing one is my mother is looking for the children.
Okay, so who is the most capable of pretending to be mom and being in mom's head? Who feels like they can do mom's head pretty good?
Judy is with my mom, so she's going to stay mute.
Okay.
So I can do.
You can try.
Yes.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about how the kids come up. Talk to me what she says.
It's just like suddenly she realizes they're not there. And
so do it. Do the thing.
What happened to those little girls?
You're listening to, so you're looking for the little girls.
Yes. Where are they?
You worried about them?
Well, of course I'm worried about them. I don't know where they are.
Yeah, so they're little. I haven't seen them.
Not little like a baby. They're little, like they're walking around.
Okay, so they've been walking around. Were they here for a while or just for a little bit?
I don't know.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know.
And you were supposed to be taking care of them or something else?
Well, I thought so, but I don't know where they are.
Oh, okay. So you think you were probably supposed to do something with them, but they're not here anymore. That's frustrating.
I don't know. The worst part is I don't know.
You're not sure.
I thought they were here.
You thought they were here and now they're not here.
Are they at Howard's?
You're wondering if they're over at Howard's.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm wondering.
Tell you what, how about if I check and see if they're at Howard's?
That they
at least we know they are there. They're not there. How about if I try that?
Okay.
Let's start with that because they're not here.
Okay.
So let's try Howard's and see if that's where they. Now, I'm wondering, when you were looking at them, when you were actually watching them, did they seem like they needed anything or were they doing okay when you first noticed them?
Well, they were just, it seems like somebody takes the children out of the room so the adults can talk. And we've been talking and they're not here and they need to know where they are.
Okay, so someone was helping. The adults wanted to talk, so the kids were out of the room. But now it's like, where are the kids? Okay, I hear what you're saying, because the kids were here and the adults wanted to do something, and the kids were supposed to be. I got it. No wonder you're a little worried, because it's sort of like they were suddenly not there, but you're not sure who's in charge of them right now. Okay, let me do some checking, Mom, because that doesn't, that you're right. That doesn't sound like a safe thing not to know where the kids are. You are really good at keeping track.
When you talk to him, ask him what their names are.
Ask them their names. Okay, yes. So you're wanting to find out who these children are. So it's easier for you then to keep up with them. Yeah.
I haven't thought about that, but I don't know what their names are, and I need to know what their names are.
Okay, yeah, no, it's going to be easier to know exactly who these kids are. And have you seen them several times, or was this just the first time that you had noticed that these kids were here? Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not sure. You know, the worst part, Mom, is how much this makes you feel unsure. And I hate that, because that's a real scary, you don't like being unsure. And I hate it too. It's because you're always sure about stuff. And this is making you real uncomfortable. And it bothers you a lot.
Oh, well, wouldn't it bother you if the children were missing?
It does bother me when kids are missing, for sure. Yeah. And it's not okay that we aren't sure what happened. That's the part that's really troublesome. If they're okay, you're okay, but not knowing is the thing for you. You just don't like not knowing. So I need to find out, number one, they're okay. And number two, if we can figure out their names, that would be helpful too.
That would be helpful. I do need to know who they are.
All right. So try to figure out who they are. But first of all, are they safe? And that's what I'm going to try to figure out first. Are these kids okay?
Yes.
That's the most important thing, that they're okay.
And who they are. I need to know who they are before I even know who they're, because I can't
know
even,
who they are, because
I'm not sure who they are.
We'll pause, because what I'm going to tell you is this is a detail woman. Your mother has always been a high detail lady. She's always wanted to know all the details, and she could keep up with all the details historically. She was a very specific, she knew all the details about all kinds of things. And what's happening with her dementia is the details are disappearing. As the disease robs her brain of the ability to hold on to details, she can get a picture, but she can't get the details. And the details are what make the picture complete. And when she tries to find the picture, the lack of details makes them disappear. It's just all gone. And the harder she looks, then the whole thing disappears on her. And she's frantic because she thinks it's important. She doesn't know if it's important, but not being able to find the details is driving her brain in dysfunction. So she becomes dysfunctional because details have always been important to her. And the girls are just an example of the more she tries to find the girls disappear on her. And then she doesn't know what happened. And then she can't remember their names. And then she doesn't remember what was supposed to be going on. And then all she has are these vague impressions of things. And that is what is taking her over the edge and making her so panicked and frantic. And so by saying to her, I'm going to see if I can find out those details, the names, where they are, what's supposed to be happening, I'm lifting the veil away and acknowledging how hard this is when she needs to know. You need to know that. And I need to try to find that out because you're not sure. And I'm saying out loud what her brain is most devastated by is the inability to be sure. And a reassurance isn't going to work for her until she can feel she can find some details.
Yes.
So then we have to give her some stuff that has detail, but isn't something she has to hold on to. So she needs a task now that is got some detail to it. So Mom, can you do me a favor while I'm doing some of this stuff? I'm trying to find out about these girls. Could you help me I want to make something and I need ingredients.
Well, not right now because we're calling Howard about the children.
I'm going to, you know what? I am going to tell Carolyn, I'm going to put Carolyn on this because Carolyn is good at following up on things. Would that be okay if I get up with Carolyn and have her do the phone calls? Because she's better at getting up with people on the phone.
No, I want to be right. And this happened the other day. She was at my house and I was calling Howard about the children and my husband was trying to get her to help him with something. And she was like, no, I mean, like, emphatic, no. She wants to know the detail.
Yeah. Okay. So what that tells me is until this is resolved. Okay, Mom, I got up with Howard and the girls are not there now. Now, is that a lie?
No.
No. He asked if the girls that you're thinking about are named Carolyn and Judi or somebody else.
Ah.
And now you want to think of your children's name, grandchildren's names. You want to come up with a few specifics. that you can offer up to her. Because I will tell you that frequently when she looks at people, she can't remember the specifics of names. And she doesn't like feeling stupid. And so if she thinks she's supposed to remember something, and she's always been good at it, she's devastated every time she looks in the file cabinet and there's nothing there. And so I'm not sure whether she's talking about the grandchildren, girls' names, girls she met at the library, you know, kids that she babysat for once, her own children when the adults wanted to talk in the living room and they were sent somewhere else. I mean, there's all kinds of little fractured memories floating around. But for her to be unable to recall details is literally making her brain feel like it's going to explode or implode. And so helping her figure out some details by giving her some details of people. And she can say, no, that's not who I'm talking about. Okay, because I can remember there was a time that you had us go out of the room because you guys wanted to talk. It was Thanksgiving. And it was when Mama Barry was having all the kids, and all the little kids had to eat at another table because there were too many adults. And we were supposed to go downstairs. And I think I remember somebody got in trouble and you came down. And so rack your brain a little bit. You and Judi, rack your brain for some older stories about the kids and mom. Because there's going to be some stories where you can supply some detail. And it may not be the one she's thinking of, but it's going to give her brain the detail she's craving. And it's going to hook up to an emotion that's going to help her. Because she's telling you, my brain is dying and I'm feeling incompetent and it's panicking me. And she's having a panic attack in that moment.
Yeah, she is.
Because her brain knows she should know and she can't find it. So you're going to go where, I mean, you can't fix the brain, but you can help her find details that matter.
Wow.
Does that help?
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, because it's a real thing for her. I mean, and she may be not right about the children and that, but her brain is trying desperately to get the help she needs from the girls she trusts. And she will not be distracted in that case because this is the information that she's craving.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's good. Good question. And you did a good job being your mom. Because that's what helps is if you can authentically try to produce what you experienced and you were present enough to experience it, not just for yourself, but to really feel your mom's pain. Because that's true pain. I mean, that's not a lightweight emotion. She's truly feeling that level of distress.
Yeah.
But then definitely. To reimagine it as what's happening in her brain and what's happening for her as a human being and her previous experience of herself. And it is terrifying.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So good willingness to work through that. Thanks.
Hopefully
you. Judi can at least say, yeah, that makes sense, even if she can't talk to us.
Let's see. She's been texting me. Let's see. Thank you.
Okay. So we also have Dale Ireland sent a question in. They are bringing mother or mother-in-law back from hospital. She has dementia, is COVID positive. They are vulnerable.
Oh dear. Oh my.
How do we deal with masks? Dale, can you unmute you?
Oh dear, Dale. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Dale, and tell us a little bit about mom's abilities. What's mom able to do and where is she challenged?
She had been a Ruby, and I'm not quite sure where she is now because she's off of her dementia support medication or her bipolar support medication. When she comes home with us, we can begin that again. We've been at the hospital window in the morning and in the night, the last evening in the last 2 weeks. And of course, the afternoons or harder, but she needs to see us. She has to
see you.
Communication has been really hard. We didn't even get to talk to her until the end of the last 2 weeks with a phone. Her sentences are very short. I don't know where she is. I want to meet her. Communication is limited. We have made her laugh. She recognizes things. We can hold up signs, keeping them, our gestures are near our faces. But she's still very, very tired. She had been on a feeding tube for a while and getting her medication, and it made all the difference. And everyone's doing their best, but they can't. I want to be so careful about how I say this, because I really believe everybody is doing their best. And I thought I was doing my best till I learned, and I keep learning about how to communicate with her. But they have made it very clear they don't have the time to sit, redirect, and feed her. Their masks, and she's confused. We have to bring her home, and she can't go to the nursing home right now. She needs to come home.
Okay, so you have not been exposed to COVID though?
Correct.
Okay. Here's the challenge is, if you guys are vulnerable, she will not be able to keep a mask on. So her droplets are going to be imposing on you. And she has gotten used to people having masks on. How does she respond to them? Is she okay with them having masks on, or does she try to pull them off their faces?
She does not try to pull them off. She reads emotions, so she's looking for what she can see in the eyes.
Right.
The nurses that have worked well understand and have done everything they can with gestures, body. Yeah.
Good. Okay, and you know how to do those things. What you're going to want to make sure of is, if you're going to try this, one of you really needs to be the safe person and stay out of contact with her, so that if something happens, you have a safe person to transition things.
That's so smart.
Yeah, because you don't want both of you involved, because if both of you are involved, then you double the risk. And if the other partner is a male, he's more vulnerable.
That's why I think it should be me. Yep.
Yeah, he's more vulnerable than you are to this virus as of right now. The male chromosome is a little more vulnerable than female, but not 100%, but that's sort of
a little bit.
A little bit more. And then we look at chronic illnesses. So you will really want to think about double barriering yourself between you and she, so that you always have on long sleeves, and you do wear gloves, and that you are creating surfaces and spaces, and you will get in this outfit and out of this outfit. She's weak and she's not moving that much. So you do have the flexibility of gowning and gloving, if you would, in her visual presence. And you can smile and give her a lot of visual information before you gown up and glove up. And you could also decide that you might want a microphone for yourself that makes it so that you can deliver messages from a slightly greater distance. And with the visual cueing, if she has a hearing issue or a comprehension issue, that it allows you to be closer than you actually are in sound distance. So that if you want to do something with her, you stand closer to the doorway, greater than that 6 feet, and you prepare yourself and you prepare her. And then once you start doing things, you basically have a double layer between you and she, all the way up and down, so that when you peel that off, that goes immediately into a washing system that's in a bag. And you're going to want to work with somebody on the details of it. And you can talk with Carolyn if you get up with our folks for a half-hour free consult before you do this, for sure.
Hi, Cheryl.
Get up with Cheryl. But really, Dale, looking at, you could in fact be relatively safe with gowns and gloves and eye guards, because you do have your glasses, but you'll want to clean your glasses before you put them back on after you leave, and you want to make sure you wipe off any parts and the surfaces. But soap and water is really pretty effective. It's just that airborne stuff. And being willing and able to do hand under hand assist with her.
Yes, I want that for her so badly.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like we want you to make that heart first, head first choice for you. And that's where planning the head part, now that you've got your heart in it, is making sure that the head is thinking it through. So Cheryl might be a good choice because she has that nursing type background and the hands-on care background. But we have some other folks who also can be helpful in that, in creating that safe space for you guys to do that. And then thinking of who else you can bring in on the team, who else has maybe had some experience at sort of isolation precautions and is comfortable working in isolations precautions, because some of us, are pretty comfortable with that because we've done it. You've made, norovirus and all those viruses and all those other things. I mean, once you learn the precaution measures to take, there's a relative net of safety. The problem is when you don't know those, or you think you're doing them, but you actually aren't. And so running some practice drills where somebody goes, buzzer went off, buzzer went off, but maybe with a nicer buzzer, so that you practice before she gets there to make sure your technique keeps you safe.
Thank you. Just thank you.
Yeah, because rehearsal is everything. And we were talking about rehearsal. So your comfort goes up because you're rehearsing and you try it. So you guys are both safe right now. One of you is her and one of you is you. You're you and he's her. And you practice. How will I position myself? How will I get in and out? How will I do that so I maintain the barriers? Because that's going to be really important to do it and do it well. Because if she's going to leave you, you want it to be with your hands and with your arms and with your eyes involved, not being able to be with her. I mean, that's your choice. And people need to have that option and that choice. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow. So there was another question on YouTube that came in, and I'm going to read it because I'm afraid I wouldn't say it right if I didn't.
Okay.
So, this lady has a mom who sleeps a lot, and when she is up, she gets really tired and needs to go back to bed to rest. The daughter tried a schedule and it failed miserably. She does take her for walks and gardens, and she loves to go to the store, but then she is so tired. Is there something else she can do? Her naps will go 8 hours at times, and she doesn't make it to the bathroom in time.
Okay. So it certainly sounds like the daughter's done a nice job of coming up with things that mom enjoys and values in the time that she has available to be present and to have energy. Mm-hmm. But being in those spaces and places depletes mom completely. So I'm wondering whether the intensity of those activities might be a little higher than the person can comfortably do. So the person does everything they can do. And then when they do that, the bucket's empty and they drop suddenly and they're exhausted. So I'm wondering about flowers in pots in a shorter distance and doing strolls rather than walks, or moving a chair along with your feet for part of the distance and walking part of the distance, and taking breaks. Because I wonder what structurally or might be happening oxygen flow wise, whether protein is low in the person and they're just approaching the place in the condition for them where they don't have much reserve. They don't have a lot of physical reserve or cognitive reserve. And so there are some people, I mean, I have friends who basically want to come out and do everything they can and then go home and collapse. because the pleasure and the joy of being fully present for 15 minutes is worth being out for 8 hours. Whereas I have other friends who would rather reduce how much I do, so I have small buckets of more frequent, but at less intensity, and I don't collapse afterward. And that may be the difference between Arabians and Clydesdales. I'm not sure that it isn't sort of part of who we are. Some people want to run with the wind and then that's it, that's all I've got. And other people would rather, you know, be there and be steady, and they're the quarter horse, you know, or they're the, you know, the Morgan. I know my horse breeds, just saying, I know my horses. That different horses have different functions, different dogs have different functions, different humans have different ways of doing things. And what's hard is when we're not a good match and I'm supposed to be building a schedule for you and I'm uncomfortable with the schedule, but it may be that the person that's being served by the schedule is actually doing great by having those moments of joy. And then when I'm not feeling joyful, I'm recovering. The sad part is that's a lot of work on the part of the provider, the daughter. So what is the daughter finding that's joyful in the relationship? Because if we're both not finding some elements of joy, then this is just exhausting. And that's what I'm concerned when she says it was a huge failure. It sounds like the schedule she has is a huge success in some ways. And yet what she's discovering is mom's body isn't able to manage itself like it was. And so the incontinence will want to measure, you know, how are we going to manage the incontinence? Because I suspect managing continence is not a priority for mom. It's just, you know, managing incontinence is fine. That's not where her priority is. The priority is going to the store or gardening or going for a walk. You know, that's more fun, being with the dog, whatever it is. And the other part you just do to get through life. It's just what you do. It's no joy in it. The joy are those moments, those stars, that brightness. And if the daughter can find the joy in the stars and is okay with the darkness in between, and she uses that in between time to live some of her life, and she's not just using all that time to care for the other person and feeling there's no one there when she's doing it, that's very different. And if she is feeling I'm doing a lot of hands-on care and there's nobody there, then it's probably time to bring in a partner to share the load of the care so that those star moments have more value, because I'm not too exhausted to go see the stars with mom, because seeing the stars is what mom's all about. And if we can see stars together, that's the joy. And I just need a break from all the care, because I want to see the stars with her and I want to still love the stars with her. And that's enough. If it's enough for mom, I've got to figure out how to get it to be enough for me. And it may be that there's too much load other than the stars. And what made me wonder about that is the incontinence is starting, because it's not as important to keep up with when it comes out and where it comes out and where to put it when it comes out. That's not a high priority. Sounds like.
No, it doesn't.
All right, what else have we got? Anything, or, you know, is everybody all questioned out?
We had one more question come in about addressing medication for someone in Ruby state being labeled palliative in long-term care due to poor care resulting in dehydration before they are palliative. Mm-hmm. And I don't see this person in the room anymore. Penny.
Okay. So talking about medications for someone in a Ruby state, which is somebody who has big movements but no limited skill in the mouth, so chewing and swallowing and grinding food up, putting food in and sometimes getting too much in there, and then maybe taking it back out, or maybe it just sits there for a while. But on the other hand, ice cream, oh, that goes well because it's got the combination and it's nice and easy to put in and yum. But as far as nourishing food, maybe not so much. If it has some sweet to it, maybe. So medications that are useful get to be fewer and further between when we're talking about Ruby state. I mean, really, unfortunately, a lot of the meds that might have been used up to now, we might want to look and see, is it still helping? Because hydration is something that is getting more challenging. And one of the reasons it's more challenging is liquids are actually much harder to manage and swallow safely than are solids. It turns out something like pudding is a lot easier to get down than something like water, because water, when it goes in the human mouth, goes all over the place, and you have to actually gather it together and use your cheeks and your tongue and muscular contractions to get it go to where you want it to go, and to get it to be organized so it goes by the airway in a bulk, and you can get it to swallow down, and you don't swallow a bunch of air with it. Because there's an added problem when you swallow a lot of air when you swallow water, then you want to burp and it wants to come back up. And if you're not careful and your brain gets a little confused, it can actually cause regurgitation rather than just a burp because it gets distressed. So then you have a risk of aspiration on the way down and on the way back up. And so drinking is different than eating. And so I can eat, and then I'm done and I'm full, but I never hydrated. So starting to look at vegetables and fruits that are soft and have high fluid content reduces the need to separate fluids from solids. So bites of watermelon, that when you do smaller bites of watermelon, you can even pick them up with your hands. You can gum them a little bit, and when you go to swallow them, wow, that's a lot of water. So looking at fruits that have high volume of fluid, grapes cut in half. Smoothies are safer than pure, just straight out water because it's thickened a little bit. And it has a protein added to it. So often when people talk about dehydration, what they're experiencing, the person has no sense of thirst, or the sense of thirst is much less than it needs to be for a person to be hydrated. And that actually happens fairly early on. Somewhere around 40, we tend to stay behind the curve of being adequately hydrated from, and some kids even rarely actually master the skill. And we drink because we like what we drink, not because it's hydrating us. And so we've actually not been very good at monitoring hydration status for a period of time. And because drinking actually is a sequence, so I'll do it now so you can sort of see it. I take it in, I organize it, and I swallow. So you guys could try it too if you have a drink nearby. And if you don't, woe betide you, because you should always have a drink nearby. Now, it should be water in most cases, though at this time of day for some of you may have something else in those containers I don't need to know about. But it will make your swallow less organized if it's alcohol, because one of the problems with alcohol is it causes you to not be as detail oriented. And a lot of the medications that are given to manage behaviors or to help with sleep also have that tendency. So one of the problems is many of the medications that are used to help manage behaviors also have that tendency to cause you to be a little slurry. And if you already are at risk for swallowing problems and we slur you a little bit with a medication, we're actually increasing the risk that you'll have trouble with swallowing.
Hey, Teepa, can I ask a question? Here's
Sure.
a question that came in. How do you feel about thicket?
Well, I have certainly in my past, I was in head injury for quite some time. And I worked with people who were recovering from traumatic head injury coming out of coma. And one of the standard procedures, what I would go with people, this was a while back, we would go and we would do the studies to see whether or not they were safe to swallow liquids, whether they were safe to chew and swallow foods. whether their own saliva was going into their lungs. So we would go, the speech path and I would go and evaluate this. And then we would come up with recommendations for what they should eat and what they should drink that was safer, and positioning of the head and the neck, and how we would do that in cueing to make sure people were safe taking in stuff. So one of the things I know is that thickening things up makes it easier to go. Here's the challenge. I have actually myself taken and used Thicket, and Thicket has an interesting property. It's sort of like a lot of cornstarch. If you've ever like baked something with cornstarch and you put a little too much in there, and it's got that sort of, it feels like your tongue is coated with something. And you know, when you've had it, then you're looking for a cup of hot coffee or something like plain water to rinse it off, because it doesn't feel like liquid. It feels like something that has cornstarch in it. And it's not cornstarch, it's something else, but it has that feel on your tongue. So there's a texture to it. And your mouth recognizes it. And so many people, after they drink that, if they have sensitivity, they will then want something else to clear it. And that's where it gets risky, because they'll go to a kitchen sink or they'll go to a sink and scoop water with their hand to rinse it out. And so all that hard work that you did is like, So people are more, and this is, you know, that used to happen in head injury a good bit. And so then we were turning off water faucets and trying not to let people get in toilets. And what it was saying is, people had thirst, and we were trying to support them. But unfortunately, their sense of thirst was pretty strong, and they were not feeling satisfied with what they were getting. So this gets to be, I sort of go to if somebody is expressing that, then we have a talk about, let's talk about your advanced directives. Let's talk about directives. What you're showing me and what you said you would want isn't what we're doing, because what we're doing is limiting your access to fluids. We're using something that your brain is telling you isn't working for you. So now we have to have a discussion. You know, I'm not going to tell you what the right answer is, but we need to acknowledge the person is giving us information. If the person is seeking out a thin liquid after we've just given them a thickened liquid. If a person is satisfied with a thickened liquid, then I'm okay. I mean, I have had people in my life in the past that said, when I get to the point where you're thinking of thickened liquids, that's time, stop, don't do it. Well, what I want to make sure is when the time comes and they're presented with a thickened liquid, they still say, no, I don't want it. Versus when I was able to look at it and taste it and try it, I didn't like it then. And so I'm going to make a decision for myself in the future based on my experience now. And it's like, well, how about if we at that time give you a chance, and if you don't like it, I agree that we're going to go with what you've said you wanted, even if it causes an aspiration, because you have a right. At that moment, you're telling me what you do want. And I believe that people have a right until they can't make that choice anymore. And somebody who's going to get liquid out of a sink is telling me, I know the difference and I want what I want, or they're drinking off of someone else's tray. When I have someone who's going around and finding thin liquids or finding a pitcher in someone else's room and bringing it out and drinking it, it says to me, ooh, they do know the difference and they are making a choice. And if we've done advanced directives and we've had conversations, I always try to ask about, tell me a little bit about if you're having problems with swallowing and it's getting in your lungs and you're getting pneumonias, what do you think you will want at that time? Will you want us to restrict access and do something like use thickened and only allow you access to that? Or are you thinking that you will, if you get pneumonia, you would prefer that we make you comfortable and not treat you after a couple pneumonias? What would you prefer? What do you want? Because I believe those are the kind of conversations we should be having, not what will we do if your heart stops? Well, okay, that's one conversation, but in dementia, we need to get better at the other conversations that are likely conversations. And we're just not comfortable. It just makes us so uncomfortable to think ahead. And yet, you know, I think people should have that opportunity when they're able to think ahead and say, this is what I'm sort of thinking might make sense for me. And okay, So do you trust me that when the time comes, I'll be thinking for you, or do you think I will not be able to do that? And if not me, who? So I'm not sure I answered whatever the question was, but I tried. And then I might have gone off somewhere different. So let me know.
It was about liquids, and then do you like thicket?
Yeah.
It was about getting someone hydrated, and then about
Ruby state.
How do you feel about thicket?
Yeah.
As
okay.
additive to get liquids in as more of a.
And then there was a question about medications, but I'm not sure I answered that, but I'm not sure I was clear about the question. So
yeah, that person isn't in our room anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry.
To clarify for us. So
yeah. Well, if we didn't do a good job and we need to come back to it next time, you might have to help us a little more, because you know I could use your help with clarifying just a bit. All right. Do we have anybody else who has one last question, or shall we call it an evening? After
I have one more question.
One more question. Okay, go, Rachel.
This is from YouTube, and it has to do with a Ruby who is shadowing the caregiver, the son, and she pretty much just shadows him everywhere, and he's not sure what to do because it's just the son, and he's taking care of her pretty much by himself. He said she doesn't really engage in anything except for shadowing and pacing.
Okay, so the song that comes to mind is the person who's shadowing is saying, "You are my shining star. You are my light. You are my guiding light. I only know where I am and what to do when I see you. And if I can't see you, I'm lost." And so when someone is shadowing, what they're saying is, I don't know how to be me without you. I don't know who I am without you. Unless I can see you and I'm near you, I'm not complete. And the only place I feel safe is where I can see you, touch you, and I'm to the back of you, because if you're not to the front of me, I can't find you. And so one of the strategies to start working with is being on her, and she will, in most cases, people who shadow want you to toward their left side a bit because they have a right preference of gaze. And where they need you is you become their shield and their guide. And so they may want to lay a hand on you so that they know that you're not too far away. And as I move into Ruby state, I actually have to use my hand to judge distance. And the reason I'm doing so much touching then when I'm shadowing as a Ruby is that if I don't lay my hand on you, I don't know how far you are from me. And it's really hard for me to judge that if I can't touch. And so I know that touching bothers a little bit, but if I can't touch, I'm not sure. And so I get tricked into touching and touching and touching, which of course is incredibly annoying to the person being touched, because it's hand off, hand on, hand off, hand on. And yet the person is trying to be good and only check you out. But that touching is quite annoying. And so one of the things to try is to move to the right-hand side and try using hand under hand, right hand to right hand. And then also taking a hand and putting it behind the shoulder girdle and rubbing back and forth across the shoulder girdle as the care provider. And then taking that left hand and bringing it around to the front and using it as a pointer, a guide of direction of where we're going together. And so we're traveling together. And so that allows the person who's shadowing to know that the person is fully with them and fully present, but it's also giving them advance notice, where are we going next and where will we travel with? And it keeps the care provider from the son from having the person behind them all the time, which is wearing. It's exhausting to your primitive brain, because your primitive brain is on high alert for the person. And you're always wondering, are they there? Are they not? Is she gonna fall? And if you turn toward them to try to do anything, they get panicky because they don't know how to have conversations anymore. And they don't know what you expect of them. And all of a sudden you've turned on them, and there's a sense of confrontation, which you don't mean, you're just trying to get them, but your face is showing them, I need you to go sit down, just sit down for 5 minutes, just because you're human. And so a couple of thoughts is that sitting and rocking next to some partnered movement that isn't walking and isn't pacing and isn't back and forthing can be very calming actually to both people. And back in the day when I was part of other people's lives, we had a glider on the front porch. And a glider on the front porch is wonderful because a gliding action is a very calming action. And the back and forth of a glider or a front porch swing, but you want to drop it down so it's low enough that the person's feet comfortably rest on the floor. It's not just touching your toes as you swing, but it's a really lower kind of seating. You can watch things happen in the world and yet know that you two are not going anywhere. And yet it feels like you're traveling. And it's vestibularly calming to both individuals. And so either rocking or gliding are both activities that are calming for people. So even when you're sitting in a chair with a person, doing this rocking motion is actually a very calming thing for people to do. I would say that more than likely this has gradually developed over time. And at this point, it's habituated, and the person who is in Ruby state has such a very short window of being able to keep up with things. That's why it's now constant. Because as soon as I'm missing you, I'm missing. And it's exhausting for both people. The son is exhausted, but so is the person who's doing the watching, because I have to keep my eye on you the whole time.
He did say that trying to get in help was not working because the mom freaks out, and I'm guessing it's because she's looking for him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have anybody to help.
Yeah, and so at first the helper needs to do things that the two of them watch. So the son and the mom get to watch the helper doing things. The helper doesn't try to do anything with mom for a while. And then the son will move up to do things at the counter and the mom will be there. And then we do a slight transition, but this is going to take a while to do any kind of transitioning, but the helper who comes in cannot have anything to do with mom. Mom gets to watch the helper wipe counters. Mom gets to watch the helper do things. So the son needs to maybe come up with things the helper can do in the house that the son and the mom watch together. And the son doesn't get a break right away because mom has to build a relationship. And so the son and the helper maybe fold sheets and mom stands with the son to help fold the sheets. And we do then pillowcases and towels. So they're at either end of the towel, they're at either end of a pillowcase. And it's a simple movement that happens again and again. And mom gets comfortable with the helper's movements, with the helper's words, with the helper's presence. And then maybe the son says, here, mom, and has mom hold the other end of the towel while the helper helps fold it. And son is beside mom, but not in front of mom. And then there's this gradual transition of doing things at a distance with the helper, and then transitioning the helper into the lead role with mom following. But if you try to do it too quick, mom will panic and seek her shield and want the other one out, because you're going to, and then she will really cling to the son, and there'll be a period of panic after that in general.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we've spent time together, and it's time for us to go apart because you guys need to look at something besides the screen. It was good to have everybody here. I want to thank all the members of our PAC team who participated and all our friends. Want to thank the folks who it was the first time in and folks who've been here many, many times. John, it was good seeing you. Hope you're doing okay. Good. And Brenda, it was great seeing you. Haven't seen you in a while. And Denise, it was also good seeing you. So it was good seeing some friends that I've seen before. And it was great seeing some folks who have their faces in here, but and there's Deborah and Kelly. I feel like romper room. I feel like I should get my magic mirror, but you guys are a little old for that and I'm a little old for that, but Miss Jane's
romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, do.
Way
you have
too
fun to
much.
play today?
Yeah. Yeah, I see, Carol. I know I feel like I'm doing that, but unfortunately it wasn't intentional. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for doing what you do. Ooh, and a big thank you to everyone who was able to provide support. We are going to be offering scholarships and some free opportunities for people. We have been able to keep up our half-hour consults thanks to the generous gifts that people made to PAC. And we have opened up a number of skills courses that people can come to build some skills. And we'll be announcing more of those at a discounted rate because of the generosity of other people to help us be able to do that. So many, many thanks to everybody who's out there, who's choosing to make a positive difference. And we're working with you. So thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.